What's going on, guys? It's Steeler here, back again with yet another video talking about the Xbox One X in a different light this time, because there's a lot of stuff going around about this thing. It's absolutely insane why people are panicking, how people are panicking, and freaking out about this console. Now, I hope a lot of you join me down in the comments below for a good discussion. I hope even more of you share and like the video, support the video, because I think there's a lot of stuff here that needs to be said. And everything I say will be linked down in the description. I have source material. I've done tests myself on a lot of this stuff, and I've done videos on this stuff myself, so I know these things. But unfortunately, you've got either fanboys, trolls, or just the uninformed assuming that Xbox One X does nothing over the Pro, that there is no reason to upgrade. And I'm just blown away. So one question I'm getting is, how come Gears of War 4 is 4K 30 with the equivalent of high ultra settings on Xbox One X? How come it's not 4K 60? And my question is, why didn't you watch my video where I showed you what 5.93 T-flops got you on the PC side? I told you to expect 4K 30 high ultra hybrid with perhaps medium shadows. Now, I think the Xbox One X version of Gears is actually doing better than that, but I have proven that on my channel, and I will actually run that footage on screen now. Benchmarks of Gears of War 4 running at 4K 30 with 5.93 T-flops. It is what it is. It's exactly what I expected. It's exactly what I told you to expect. And you know this because I've done a video about it. I did the same thing for Forza Horizon 3. 4K 30, depending on how they optimize the CPU, possibly 4K 60, because I'm able to get 4K 55 frames a second with an RX 480 overclocked to 1288 core clock. And that's at ultra high, I do believe all ultra actually on that game, with no anti-aliasing. And of course I run as little anti-aliasing as possible on 4K titles. Absolutely not necessary. So I've showed you guys this. I told you to expect this stuff, 4K 30 average, 4K 60 on some games like Forza, Motorsport, so on and so forth. It just depends. It's highly variable. And that's the thing. When Microsoft tell you that this is the equivalent to a $1,500 PC, I disagree, because the number one thing about PC gaming is freedom. You have that option. You can lower it down as low as you want, provided you have the CPU overhead, and go as high a frame rate as you want. And that's something else people have to understand. If a game is not 60 frames per second, unless the developer tells you out of their face holes that the CPU is just not fast enough, then we have to assume that they just didn't want to put in the work to make a 60 frames game, because you do have to remember they have to go back through and make sure the frame timing and everything is perfect, or it ends up being an atrocious experience when you have 60 frames with improper frame timing. It's just not ideal. A lot of needless stuttering, even if the game's running at 60. So there is work there. They can't just uncap it. And it is what it is. That's the number one drawback to a console, is you are not in charge of what you get. But if you're a console guy, and I'm a console guy, even though I have a $2,000 rig, I'm a console guy, and I'm still extremely excited for this console. You just have to take certain compromises like that. You have to hope that the developers get what we want, and you have to let them know. So in terms of Activision and Bungie telling you that there will be no Xbox One X enhancements for Destiny 2, that is absolutely unacceptable to me. As a matter of fact, everyone listening, get on Twitter and tweet at Bungie, at Activision, Xbox One X support for Destiny 2. These are the ways we let developers know, and we now have a direct line to talk to these guys, unlike ever before. Witcher 3 is getting an Xbox One X patch. Never thought that was going to happen. Though I did know that game had dynamic scaling built in, so I knew it would be better on Xbox One X. This is awesome. They can actually take advantage of the extra RAM in this console and give you the foliage and draw distance levels of the PC, along with ambient occlusion, all kinds of settings that you can get on the PC to make this a real great Witcher 3 experience, the best by far on console. It's going to be amazing. And if CD Projekt Red, know what we want, they know that we want 60 frames on The Witcher 3, no matter how low the resolution, but the minimum resolution on Scorpio or Xbox One X now should be 1080p at 60, high ultra settings, no problem. Easily, with everything maxed out on pretty much any game today, and that's proven time and time again. So once again, guys, in terms of all of that stuff, it is what it is. I'm hoping for 60 frames. Phil Spencer's comments kind of writing 60 frames off is just unacceptable to me. I know that a lot of his stuff gets taken out of context, but you know, it's important that 60 frames get out there as much as possible. It makes a good game even better, and you know, it just makes the world come alive, in my opinion. In regards to checkerboarding, as I've said in the past, do what you got to do. Ubisoft actually invented checkerboarding, to my knowledge. They were the first to implement it in a console game anyway, in Rainbow Six Siege, and I expect checkerboarding from them from now on. As a matter of fact, they're bringing checkerboarding over to the PC. Does that mean your 1080 Ti is not capable? No. Does that mean my 6 teraflop GPU on the PC side is not capable? No. That is Ubisoft's decision. They build that right into their renderer. Like I said, that's on them. Just like Capcom have embraced the interlace technology with Resident Evil 7. That significantly improves performance, and you can't really tell the difference. So they're going to find little workarounds like this, and I think it's smart on the software side. Now, my only problem, as I've said before on podcasts, is games that have implemented checkerboarding tend to smack on a bunch of motion blur. Horizon Zero Dawn was a perfect example of a game that I played in performance mode, even though it was still 30. It was a lower resolution, but it wasn't checkerboarded, so there was none of that artifacting, and since there was none of the artifacting, they didn't slap on the motion blur to hide the artifacting. I do not want motion blur on my games. I want the option to take it off. As a matter of fact, if I would rather have the option to just play it at 1440p over 1800p, checkerboarded up to 2160p on Assassin's Creed Origins, if that is the way they're going about that game. But as of right now, Origins does use checkerboarding. It will use checkerboarding on all platforms, including PC, apparently. Anthem uses checkerboarding, one of the best looking games I've ever seen in my life, but it is what it is. Provided I don't have to, tolerate a bunch of motion blur, I don't care. As I've always said, as long as Microsoft do not advertise it as native 4K. I do not want to see a commercial that says Anthem native 4K, because it's not. I don't tolerate misinformation or misadvertising from any company. I don't care. So the game will look great, and ideally all of these games, if possible, will have 60 frames per second options. There is enough headroom on that GPU to do that. So I don't know. People, just expect great things. As the Ark Survival Evolved developer said himself, you can expect a jump from medium settings, which on every other console, like PS4 Pro, PS4, X1, X1S, all are running it around medium settings on Ark Survival Evolved, at pretty low resolutions, really, except for the Pro. He said you can take a jump from medium to epic settings in their game, which is the equivalent to ultra settings. It's the best on Xbox One X, and he's also doubling the frame rate on Xbox One X. These are the types of things you should be excited for. So from the base Xbox One, you go from 720p 30, which it barely holds that, medium settings, no anti-aliasing, it doesn't look like, all the way up to 1080p 60 frames on the X1X, which is quite a bit, that's quite a jump, and then you increase all of the graphics settings to ultra. That's coming from the Ark Survival Evolved developer. I did a video on this a few videos ago. I let you hear his interview. You heard it yourself. And then I linked the original source, so you can go watch it right where it came from. These are the types of jumps that you can expect, and these are the reasons that people should not be freaking out or complaining. The console's going to deliver on great visuals. Whether or not all of them are native 4K, no, Phil Spencer said it himself. Developers can use it how they want. So Ubisoft are going with checkerboarding. Some will go 60 frames. Some will be native 4K games. And ultimately on Microsoft's side, every single one of their games, as I've said before, is coming in at a native 2160p as of right now with the console, about 6 months away from launch. So that's important to remember, 6 months away from launch. The guy from Assassin's Creed Origins said we got a lot of polishing and optimizing to do. These guys are still making these games. Anthem is who knows how many years out. These games look phenomenal, and that's what matters. As I've always said, when I bragged about the Pro, I said these games will look phenomenal at 1080p Ultra. Unfortunately, they didn't go that direction. I still hope they do one day. But anyways, I'd like you guys to join down in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think down below, what you'd like to see, any questions. Check out the links in the description for all the source material, etc. And it's no fanboy shit. You know, if I didn't think they delivered on everything that I thought they would deliver, then I would let you know. But I just showed you the Gears 4 benchmark in the background. I think they came damn close to what I said they'd be at. I think people expected it to be about where I said it would be at. And these games are going to look great, so be excited and look forward to the future. But anyways, I'm Dealer. Like, comment, share, subscribe if you like this kind of stuff. I'm out.